Hi, Urban Goddess here. Today we're going to talk about where we come from, and within that, how we know what our purpose is in this life. The interesting thing is, within the human body, within this vessel that we're in, we are given the gift and the curse of forgetting where we come from. It is definitely a purposeful intention why we don't remember. However, for those of us who really want to seek out the answer is there. And within my meditations and my connection to Source, to my spirit guides, and my ancestor guides, I've been able to unlock what I feel is the golden thread of truth within this. I will talk about this topic, but please remember, as always, I encourage you to find your own truth, to dig deeper beyond what I'm even sharing. And I'm definitely keeping in mind that we have a general audience listening to this. So I'm going to share what I feel is important for everyone to know. There is more truth to always be found. So please remember that. So something to think about within our vessels is that we do naturally, by being a human being, forget where we come from. And to understand that is to really stop and think about who is the most connected and how old are they, what time frame. And the funny thing is, we're the most connected as infants, and we're the most connected as we get ready to pass on. So ultimately, we're closest to Source when we're about to leave Source or go back to Source. So a couple of things to consider. We have two levels of consciousness that we need to think about. There are multiple levels of consciousness, let me be clear, but today I'm going to talk about the two. So in order for us to understand why we're here, we must understand two important pieces. The first piece is who we are. Me, I'm Joy. I'm Urban Goddess. This is who I am. This is my physical being. This is how I identify who I am. Then I have my higher self. My higher self is actually somewhat nameless and is a being beyond physical appearance. So, higher self and physical self are one. And to understand how that works is to understand that our higher self has lived multiple lives. Our physical self only lives this one. So, for us to believe that we die and we never do anything but replenish the earth with our um, matter that expires is one way to look at it and does have truth within it. But to think beyond into our higher self, to our soul, to our spirit, is to understand that it is recycled multiple times throughout the universe. Again, this is a really large concept to wrap your mind around. So I'm going to focus in on what I feel is some of the most important pieces of that puzzle. We, as our higher self, as our spiritual self, must have life experience in order to grow and evolve. Just as us in our physical form, we grow from an infant to a child to an adult to an elder. We learn, we grow, we make mistakes, we have happiness and joy, sorrow, hardship. All of these things come within a lifetime. Our higher self needs the same things. So, yes, our higher self purposefully says, I need to experience this blank type of life. I may need to experience love on a higher level. I may need to experience family on a higher level. So the higher self then is kind of writes up a contract. Okay? We draw up a contract and we say, okay, so I'm going to come into this life. And in this life, I'm going to be this type of being, this type of gender, in this type of situation and circumstance. So ultimately, our higher self, before we come here in our physical form, makes a contract and an agreement. This agreement also includes choosing our family and specifically our parents and our siblings, because that is how we come into this path, and therefore it does help mold us for the future ahead in the physical self. Now, before we head out to ride in on that wave to be born, we also have a very important power group with us. I call them our soul group, and this term is used throughout New Age metaphysical teaching, so I'm not the first to come up with it by any means. But I do like the name of a soul group or a soul circle. These individuals are people that we live multiple lives with. These individuals are our true family. And, you kind of know this person. I don't know about any of you, but if you've ever met someone where you had an instant connection and you really can't understand why, most likely they're part of your soul group. Your soul group can be as small or as big as you allow yourself to wrap your mind around. So we make a contract, and we also include in that contract that we will have specific individuals come into our life um, within the physical form, and some of our soul group stays behind at source, and they are there to help and guide us. This is what I would consider a spirit guide. And I know it's kind of a hard thought process to think about, but if you really stop and think, we are never truly alone. We have our spirit guides with us, our angels, whatever you want to, refer to them as is totally up to you. But ultimately, they are there to help and guide us. And that, my friends, feels really good. And so we have the soul group. We have our backup. We kind of think of them as, our buffers, our protectors, our warriors, our joyful and, guides that are with us. So we have all these guides, and then we decide to come in on this wave. Now let's talk about the wave. We do choose the time and place that we are born, just like we choose the individuals we are born to. So it's kind of interesting to me because individuals who have a planned C-section to deliver a child, believe it or not, it's all predestined. And we may think we're in control, but we actually are not. So giggle at that for a second. Really, we manifest when we decide to manifest at the end of this, which means the time we are born, the name we are given, the place that we are born does make a difference in our vibration and our frequency and how we will be in this path. So when I look at things like astrology and numerology, those things do matter. So think about that, about yourself. Play around with the astrology and numerology and play around with a few other things because I will tell you this, we are who we are destined to be. Understanding our purpose is a little more complicated. The best thing I can tell you is following your heart will never lead you astray. Going back to our higher self and our physical self, we should talk about our hearts and our minds. Our minds are amazing, amazing things, and the way they process information is pretty remarkable. And remember, we're only using a small percentage of our minds, right? As science has proven. But our minds tend to get in the way of it. So when we listen to our minds, we might decide to take a path that might make us feel a little bit empty, thinking that this is what I wanted and this is what I needed for myself. And then at the end of it, at the end of that project, or at the end of that journey, we're left feeling empty, like it didn't quite fill the need that we thought it should. Now, when we listen to our hearts, we have a different experience. And the reason why that is because our hearts are our soul's desire. Something to remember is that when we listen and when we receive information, we receive it through our heart chakra. It doesn't come to our mind first. It actually comes to the heart and then to the mind. Again, scientifically proven, something to consider. And Google it if you want. But ultimately, receiving that information through your heart and listening to your heart and giving out from your heart will only give you good things. So you have to ask deep down inside what makes your heart flutter, what makes you feel warm and soft inside, what makes you smile. Those are the things that will lead you to your purpose, to your soul's goal. And I also want to remind you that there's not necessarily a destination per se, it is a journey. But following your heart's desire, which is a term that has been used for a very long time is set for a reason. Your heart's desire is what you should be doing. I'm not here to tell you to quit your job and leave your friends behind and your relationships behind. It's the last thing I'm telling you. But what I am trying to tell you is if you start doing things for you, the things for your own heart, then it's a lot easier to find your purpose in this life. As we walk down this path and we start to understand where we come from and how we are never really alone and how it is predestined, then we can start to look at all of our life experiences a little differently. The best thing I could tell you is that your life itself, is predestined in a sense. But another way to look at it is like a blueprint. This is my favorite way of describing the life plan, the contract that was written before you came. It's like a blueprint. That blueprint, just like when you're building a home, is just a whole bunch of lines and angles, and it just kind of draws out what it should look like. What it doesn't give is what color your paint will be, how you will decorate your home. Okay? So ultimately, the rest is up to you. You have the blueprint. It's already predestined. But how you walk it and how you experience it is your right. And if you remember to experience it with positivity from your heart, you will be amazed at how much easier even the most horrible times can be, knowing that you understand that this is just your purpose and that you're experiencing these vibrations for a reason. There's so much more I can share on this topic, but I know that other videos will touch on it as well. But please remember that you're not here just by chance, and you won't just go away one day. That your existence is meaningful, that your soul has done this multiple times, and that you did ride in on this wave to this planet, to this realm, for a very important reason. You are meant to be you. You are meant to make a difference. You are meant to affect others. And you are meant to follow your heart and do it with many beautiful individuals around you. So after this, you should maybe stop and text a friend, email a friend, call a friend that means something to you. Someone who you think is part of your soul group. And let them know how much they mean to you and that you're grateful that they're with you on this journey. I thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the introduction to why we're here. And I hope you have a blessed day. As always, I'd love to hear feedback, and I'd love to hear about any topics you would like to hear about so that I may run those videos for you. Have a beautiful day.